Hi everyone, welcome to Business Growth Talks. Thank you so much for joining me on the 1st of January 2024. Feels like it's been a really busy year 2023. I'm going to do a quick show here, which is going to be a bit of a recap of the year of the show, the evolution of the show, some of the popular episodes. We'll talk a little bit about my experience with being on the show, being the host of the show. So hopefully you enjoy it. It's just a little bit something different. As I release usually on Mondays, and I know it is the 1st of January, but hopefully if you do listen to this or watch this, please enjoy it, and any feedback would be welcomed. So I started my first show of the year with Ken Rusk, who was a blue collar advocate and an awesome guest. Really enjoyed that. A little bit different to my usual type of guest. And I absolutely loved having him on there. He did really well as a show, and it was very enjoyable, very interesting to hear what he said of building his team and his growth of his business by investing in his people and making sure that they can invest in property, mainly property, but also in stocks and shares. So that was the first episode. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the other episodes which happened in 2023. But let's do a quick recap. 60 episodes I released in 2023. So that's 1.15 episodes a week. So I was doing a long time for the year, one episode a week. And then with the change of the show, it went up to two. So that's why those numbers are 60 episodes. I have had a wonderful and amazing 14% increase in the downloads on the podcast. YouTube numbers are still a little bit early to really give me a great view on where it's coming on YouTube, but I'm growing on YouTube as well, absolutely hugely. And that's been a great, interesting and great experiment for me to see if we can get some more numbers there. So that is growing well. That is probably growing at a faster rate than the podcast at the moment, but it's starting from a lower level because I haven't really been prioritizing YouTube, but have done with the new show. And we'll talk about the new show in a minute. London is still the most popular place for the podcast to be listened to. Frankfurt is second, Oregon, Boardman in Oregon, and then Edinburgh. And these numbers are very different for YouTube, but it's a very interesting statistic to have a look at where people are listening and watching your shows. That's really interesting to see that. I'm just quickly pulling up here just to see the locations is very interesting. So we're talking 29 Europe, 33% America, 7% South America, 5% Africa, 20% in Asia, and 4% in Australia and New Zealand. That really is a global medium. This is one of the things I talk about a lot, is that it is a global medium, and that's what we have to accept and embrace and do well with. But it's interesting that still London is my biggest area. Countries, big countries, United States. Actually, United States, I have more downloads in the United States in 2023 than the United Kingdom, probably down to having a lot of US guests on, probably is the biggest reason. India third, Australia fourth, and Japan fifth. We're going to go a little bit more into the detail of the episodes, but just to give you the top episodes that have been released this year. Oh, at number one, Jeremy Miner, who was a sales trainer, very interesting guy talking about different aspects of sales and how to make it efficient and the best that you can. Second was with Kevin Whelan, dear friend of mine in property, in investing. We've got the company Wealth Builders. Absolutely love Kevin. We'd love to have him on the show again. He is just really an interesting guy. First episode of the new show was the book review of Arnold Schwarzenegger's new book, Be Useful: 7 Tools for the Life episode. I thought that was really interesting, really enjoyed doing that one. I'm glad it's doing well on the show as well. So that's fantastic. Fourth, Jorge Contreras, who is an Airbnb real estate investor. And fifth was Chris Joyce, founder of CEO and Gusher. So growth 14%, episode 60. I've recorded 2,397 minutes, and I've been able to get to 74 different countries. I think it's been a huge success. I really enjoyed the new show. Let's go a little bit more details into the sort of milestones within the year. So, as I said, first episode, Ken Rusk, great guests. Then on the 30th of January, I had the 400th episode, which was a real milestone for me. I was very proud of being able to get to 400 episodes. We are moving fast towards 500. I would love to be able to do that in the first half of 2024. Keep the momentum going. That will happen. So, really excited. There is something perhaps secret that we might do special for the 500th episode, but let's wait and see on that. As I said, Jeremy Minor was the sales trainer, was the most popular. I did a birthday show. My family were away over Easter, and my birthday show on the 4th of April was a very raw, unscripted episode talking about my life, business, and family prioritizations, all those interesting things. And it was a very honest and open. If you want to hear more about me and about what I prioritize in life, that's really a good episode. 4th of April, that was. And then the highlights of the year for me was interviewing Rob Greenlee and Henry Lopez, friends of mine that have been in a podcast mastermind, and I've stayed in contact with them. Great guys, both podcasters, both do other things as well within business. An absolute joy to have both of them on. I'm so glad that they've done really well with the audiences. It was such a joy to be able to do that. Enjoyed that very much. And then probably my biggest start of the year. It's very difficult to gauge biggest star. There's a guy called Jonathan J, who on the 14th of August I had on my show. And Jonathan, although this doesn't reflect with the numbers of the downloads, he's probably in the business arena, entrepreneurial arena. He does big shows, big training sessions. So that was a really interesting one. Very nice guy, very humble guy, but he buys businesses. And I'd already been to one of his training sessions before. So when the opportunity came to interview him, I was just like, yeah, absolutely got to do that. It'll be so much fun. And it was. And then we get into the second half of the year, so the Q3. And I spent 3 or 4 weeks researching what I wanted my new show to be. So it was an evolution of the show from Absolute Business Mindset, and it evolved into Business Growth Talks. Very much a niche down show looking at how to grow and build businesses that way, rather than a journey show, which on reflection I felt was getting lost with some of the other shows doing similar things with bigger sort of personalities. So I decided that I would take a break from the journey show on its own and build this show. And as you can see by the numbers, that my first episode was the 24th of September, releasing 2 a week from then onwards. And the numbers are increasing. The number of the shows, people are listening, watching, enjoying, commenting, which has been absolutely fantastic. So we now do interviews on the Monday, interview releases, and then on Thursday it was supposed to be topical subjects. So we started off with things like ChatGPT, and in those, and there was a book released by Arnold Schwarzenegger, which I mentioned was a very popular episode as well. And what ended up happening towards the latter end, Q4, it's evolving, maybe not exclusively, but it's definitely evolving into a profile. You get an episode on a Thursday, and the last few episodes that we've been talking about shows, we're talking about really important people: Richard Branson, Gary Vaynerchuk, Bill Gates, George Lucas, Elon Musk, Ryan Reynolds. It's in the last few episodes on the Thursday starting to become profiles. I don't know if that's going to be solid for the rest of the year doing profiles, but I think I'll probably start a little bit into 2024 with that idea of excuse me, of profiles there. So we'll see. We'll see. It's an interesting one. I think it's something that I enjoy doing. I've really enjoyed delving into these geniuses and being able to really get the most out of the episodes that way. So I've enjoyed that. I think I'll probably continue it for now, and then we'll see what happens going towards it. So as I said, the last episode, December the 21st, was a profile on Richard Branson, a really interesting deep dive into an inspiring entrepreneur, very important Brit that has done incredibly well in his businesses, lots of different businesses. and I enjoyed that a lot. Yeah, it's been an interesting year. There's been lots of ups and downs. With as a family, we are growing. No more children, I will add, but we are growing as a family, and kids are getting a little bit older now. A lot more opportunities to be able to do some more interesting things for the show in 2024. Business, growing the business is really important to me. Property, real estate, as well as the podcast guesting business. It's definitely a priority for 2024. Although it is January 1st, we've been a very hectic Christmas period. So I'm going to spend some time on creating my goals in this week, basically, and really spend some time breaking those down. And I hope all of you do spend some time thinking about what you want to achieve in 2024. It's an important thing. For me, podcast, YouTube, podcast business, property, real estate are my priorities. And I just need to break them down and see. Maybe I usually do half yearly, but I might do quarterly reviews this year just to see how the momentum of everything is going and keeping that evolving and moving forward. Because I think that's what other people I've been talking to people about their different types of goal setting, and John Keel did a video a little while ago which was really fascinating, really interesting. So thank you, John, for that. Look, guys, that's all I'm going to talk about for today. It's been a whistle stop tour of the show in 2023, some of the highlights, some of the things I enjoyed, how the show's evolving. It will always now be focusing on growing and scaling businesses. That's where I think I can add the most value and get the best guests on there. Hopefully, you've enjoyed the show in 2023, and long may it reign into 2024 and longer. Really feel a new vigor, new excitement doing the show. So really looking forward to being able to push this show much bigger. We've got some plans of some interesting things in 2024. They cannot be announced yet, but in due course, if everything works out, they will be announced. So just lastly, thank you so much for your listening and watching. I really appreciate all of the time that you spent doing that for me. And hopefully you've attained lots of value. Happy New Year to you and your family. Back onto the world of commerce, industry, business will be happening very soon, and that'll be reflected in the shows that I have. So, just lastly, thank you so much for your time. Have a lovely new year. And